Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for November the 21st, and getting closer. SiteLock confirms that they've gone through the website, cleaned everything, re-uploaded the perfect website, but now I have to wait for Google and the other authorities to agree that everything's been cleared so they can remove the warning. So we just continue to wait. It's such a nightmare, but that said, the market not doing surprisingly horrible. In fact, once we got our catfish long setup here with the extreme fractal in red trend, we looked for about a 1/3 retrace, and ironically, that's about exactly what we got there. If you look at the overall day range, the low came down, hit that 1/3, and then popped back up. If we look at the differential there, -14, not bad. You have to be in the inside of -8 to be overbought. So it's getting very close, and typically we would be looking for the period when MACD buyers jump into the scene. -8 on the shakeout indicators, perfect. However, now we've reached kind of that typical rolling cycle that you get with these kinds of moves. Not likely to see a day or more go by. We have the holiday coming up, and that may be a little bit of a relief as far as where it typically would roll back over on the setup. So there's the bounce. This is a more advanced trend model that flips to green a little bit earlier than our overall new trend model. If you want the actual name, I can right click it. We just call it a trend plot. It uses Fibonacci lines in relationship to some of the overall buy setups, and kind of turns green a little bit earlier. That's the one thing it is biased to the upside. Always would pointing that out. Haven't really gotten to a point where there's been a dramatic amount of short cover. It was modest coming in through here. We haven't moved to the positive side as far as buying, major buyers stepping in. So we're kind of reached this midpoint of the Bollinger Band where someone would be expecting it to reach that peak before it does turn around. It's possible that may happen. We had 1396. That would probably, if we go back there, we can take a look at what the midline number is. It should get pretty close to there based on that projection. You do have your buy signal for your MACD buyers, so that becomes a very attractive point in weak volume. They should be able to lift it. Now, if they're not able to lift it significantly with that kind of a buy signal, particularly in this weak volume, that will give you a pretty clear indication that there's going to be some selling into them, and I would expect that, particularly since the bounce came completely at a point where they would not be expecting to even think about entering. We see a little drop off in momentum, only in the mid 60s. It's kind of neutral. We need to be well over 70 for really strong momentum move, so nothing for the price oscillator as far as that goes. And you can see we came back, dipped, and what do? We just came back to retrace the positive extreme, and did so on a green trend, dipped below the red line, which is always a nice thing to see. And then you can see it kind of popped up, but that sort of tells the story. You're going to be matching your highs or making new highs now on much lower shakeout readings, and that's not going to survive. So the little warning signs are there, and this is why we went ahead and sold calls on anything that we were doing. And if you had chose to sell as opposed to sell the calls when we had that nice bounce, fine too. No issues with that. Gold, nothing special there. CLF, now this is a perfect example of what happens when fractal buyers get disappointed. They've started accumulating it right in here, kind of based for a little bit. They're not going to be phased one bit or another by 1.5 ATR drop from their areas, because they're buying over time. But when they get disappointed, it leads to an exacerbated sell-off. And once you reach the points where they were sellers, right at where the dots are, because that's their stops, boom, it's just this immediate cascade where they exit all at one time. And that is not a point where you want to be selling, because it becomes very rapid and fast there. Usually you'd want to wait for some kind of an upturn. Again, we sold the puts. We're still going to be in CLF much longer than just a little short run, so not overly concerned by that. X pretty much did nothing. I'm not really expecting it to do anything particular. Oh, you know what? From CLF, I wanted to go back and show this, because I don't have enough time here for you to see why this to me isn't as big a deal. Because we have this dip below the red line, right back over here when it happened. And we were in CLF at this particular point too. And sure enough, gave the pop-up from there, but all we've done now is retest that low. And that is the last one. So we don't have any others that have to be revisited in that setup. Now, same thing with X. We know that that is a good potential that this is going to get retraced on any kind of weakness. What we'll be looking for will be much more exciting is if we get a move lower that doesn't quite get to the bottom, but usually right around this close area and then returns up. That would be far more bullish and a bit more of an upspring capability. WLT, no shock with that. Also retraced. Did we get all the way to the low? Let's see. It's 28.25. Not quite. Didn't quite retest the low, but it is retesting so far on a little bit higher extreme. Not super high. It's still negative 56. That could go below the red line in a day. We'll have to see it plays out for the final week. Boeing. This was funny because I had put this one up on StockTwits days ago, and I went through all the different green dots, and I gave all the past depictions of them, and we even talked about it here. I think it was a week or plus ago. And sure enough, said it was a buy at this point after it was a short coming off of the red dot, and then also confirmed by the gray dot, and it met that. But as soon as it met the short criteria, I was like, oh, time to think about the buying. And there were some people who were adding into the shorts, and they were like, well, no, we think it's going lower. That you're mistaken. And I showed them 20 plus examples where this doesn't mistake, and sure enough, we're very close to hitting that upside target. If we just put it over there, you can see the target 73.02. Then we get a new orange dot, so that projects an even higher target range, 73.88. So always good to see those kinds of things. Definitely all set with the alerts, but need to have the website in order to be able to show that to you. From an intraday standpoint, we can look at Apple. Didn't do anything. Remember another situation here too. Like I said, red trend. Always want to look for that discount to take the 1/3 off. So came down to that level. So could have actually been a nice opportunity to jump in. Nothing from ES yet, and I did have someone ask me about ES trade and whether or not you could do it, and this is where I mentioned that a retrace into this bar for a third, coming off of the catfish fractal as well as the extreme fractal. Definitely, you could take that trade, but you have to utilize that low entry as your stop so that you're not at risk. And so far, that's been a decent move. I ended up buying that on a dip and sold out near the close. And if it gives me another opportunity with another day trade, I'll do the same thing. But wasn't prepared to hold that one other than the SSO that we had with the call setup. And you can see negative 14 for the ES on the differential there, so not overbought yet. Interesting that we have not come out of the downtrend, and by that, we can look at it, and I'll increase the size of it here. The orange line still staying below the cyan, and until that moves above, the downtrend's intact. Now, like I said, even when it crosses above, we may get that down move that we look for the market for the up move, and we would then be looking for that yellow line up here at the magenta, which would give us our clear sign that both this long ratio psi overall downturn has ended. I know it gets complicated, but I'll keep you up to date on exactly what you need to know with it, and you're not going to have to worry about it. I like to give you the little extra details for those who are a little bit more into some of the nuances. As always, though, continue to look for me on StockTwits, Twitter, Trade Well.